You're listening to Barbell Logic,
the podcast where we talk about what it means to experience strength
and how you can use simple, hard, and effective strategies in training and nutrition to improve your life.
It starts with meeting you where you are right now and finding lasting solutions.
Welcome to the show.
Hello, hello. Welcome to the Barbell Logic podcast. This is Beast Over Burden. I'm your host, Nikki Sims. With me is Andrew Jackson. What's up, Andrew Jackson?
Hello, I'm preparing to record the fastest podcast ever.
Because I am hungry. So either we get this done in 20 minutes or I cry.
Both wonderful
that
options.
Was a maniacal laugh. Yes.
What are we talking about? Let's get it going then.
You said something about dealing, no matter what you're going to do, you're going to be stressed out. So do the thing that makes you better. The end.
There it is. The synopsis.
There it is.
The entire episode. Well, a little more context. I was talking to Zach Evanish yesterday. Shout out to Zach if he's listening, which I'm assuming he's not. Incredibly busy guy. He's a full-time teacher. He runs a strength gym, Underground Strength, creates a lot of content, and he's a great follow. If you are into the strength culture and...
How do you know him?
I know him as via Matt. I think Matt introduced me last year. Matt used to coach Zach. They've known each other for a long time through Westside Connection and just also being part of the strength world for 3 decades, I think, almost. Talking to Zach yesterday because he's interested in using Turnkey Coach.
Hell yeah, you should, Zach.
He's
yes.
growing his online coaching business. And so I've been helping him think through business model, pricing, service model, things like that. We were just catching up about the Underground Strength Conference they had last month. Mac was there, Matt was there, Anthony Deal, who's also been on the podcast. And it was just a great opportunity for everybody to get together as coaches and interact in person. And so we were catching up on that. And I mentioned that Mac had a particularly positive experience just being able to be around other people in person. You know, he's in Scotland, pretty far away from all of us and mostly working with people online. And so...
Mostly just in the rain all the time. Just always in the rain.
I think it was actually snowing there last week.
Oh, man.
But anyways, they had a great time. And Zach made a comment as he was explaining kind of the value that he gets from being around people that he felt it was a huge growth opportunity. And that he was reflecting on a conversation that he was having with a business coach previously that had told him that growth, while painful, is not as painful as being stagnant. And that you might as well lean into the effort and the pain of growing because you're going to probably be in more pain remaining stagnant and it will be unproductive.
And that applies to your business, your relationship, your body, your nutrition.
So many things.
So many things. Like, as soon as you told me that story, I was like, man, I'm seeing that in at least a couple places in my life right now.
That was my reaction as well. And I mean, we were talking about it in the context of getting together at the strength conference, but it immediately shifted into our conversation about growing the business. Because one of his other things that he had been thinking a lot about and that his coach had kind of nudged him on was that growing your business or growth at 10x a rate is in some ways easier than trying to grow at 2x. And this kind of aligns with Matt's like swing for the fences approach in some ways, I think, because when you force yourself to grow that aggressively, you can't just keep doing more of what you are doing right now. You have to rethink and rebuild your systems. It's also somewhat what Matt talks about with the E-myth, like the technician versus the business, person versus the owner perspective, is that if you're stuck in the business, grinding away, just trying to incrementally improve, the only thing you can do to grow is more time in the gym, more time in the office, doing it yourself. Versus if you think about, well, how do I grow 10x? then you have to go back to your first principles and either design systems or build new processes or hire more different people or, just kind of rethink things. And that resonated with me, like you said, across any domain, any context.
And it speaks to the reason change management strategies exist, because you have to go from status quo where you're somewhat comfortable, but somewhat needing a change. But it takes so much energy to make those changes, both like in terms of output and both mental energy. And it's a big deal. But like you said, you're going to be spending energy on something. What do you want to spend it on?
Yeah. And then you saw a quote this morning, right? That sort of touched on that from a different perspective and really like the timing of when you experience the pain.
Yeah. I might just pull it up if I can. If I can just mouth breathe here for a minute. Okay, I'm done. Uh, the cost of settling is higher than the price of ambition. You just pay it later. So it's more expensive to settle, in other words.
But you feel comfortable in the moment, or you avoid pain in the temporary moment.
Right.
But it catches up to you eventually.
And do you think that has to do with like choosing the pain that is known instead of choosing the pain that is unknown? Do you think that's a similar way to look at it?
I think it's because understanding risk is a very difficult thing for the human mind to work to grasp. It's also difficult to understand nonlinear consequences. So when you're needing to do something that's a 10x change or an unknown amount of effort that you, in many cases, have to commit to for a long period of time before you really see those benefits, that's difficult for a human brain to calculate. In many cases, it's irrational.
Yeah.
And I was talking about it last night, right? That I would not recommend to anybody. Most of the choices I've made in my life, especially the last 5 years, that I've made some radical changes in my life that were extremely risky. Perfect example was that I quit my steady, supposedly, at least on the surface level, I quit my corporate job that I'd been working up to my whole life in theory. And it was predictable. Like it was a known entity, whether I liked it or not, versus quitting that career and moving into working at Barbell Logic, which was a complete unknown, huge pay cut. And there was an illusion of security with the corporate job. Even though if you were to fast forward 2 years, the job that I had in the factory that I worked at no longer existed.
Yeah.
They were shut down in the middle of COVID. And I had an inkling of that. Like I kind of saw that, but at the surface level, working for a multi-billion-dollar Fortune 500, Fortune 50 company seems like a safer bet. But it's an illusion because prior success does not guarantee future results.
And the corporate world that's kind of cutthroat. You could believe that you deserve more status and a new position, and the company can believe that it's time to fire you.
Yeah. And it's nothing, I mean, it's mostly political in an organization like that, who you know, who your friends are, and whether people like you.
Yeah.
And anyways, the point there being that I think it's almost impossible to know whether a decision to make a big change is quote unquote right or wrong, in the sense that you don't know for sure what the outcomes are going to be. And there's an illusion that if you continue doing what you're doing in the moment, that at least you know what the outcomes are. And I think that's, and just in general, to make change, the amount of change that you want to make is not directly related to the amount of energy that you put in. It's similar to like changing velocity. The energy that it takes to increase your velocity is exponentially more than to sustain the same velocity of in a physics sense.
That sounds like building muscle too. It's harder to build it than it is to maintain it.
Right. Building versus maintaining. Exactly. The same concept there. So that's another big piece of it, is that not only is the outcome unknown and the perceived risk is unknown and high for most people. If the outcome is unknown, that by definition means risk is high for most people.
Yes.
And not only the perceived effort, but the actual effort and energy required to make that change is also very high. So you have this huge mental and emotional hurdle to climb over, along with the fact that even just going through it is often challenging in sometimes a physical pain, mental pain, emotional pain. Like everything in your body is resisting, or I should say your body is optimized to maintain the status quo in all of those domains as well. So anytime you try to step out of it, you get these signals of like, don't do that. No, stop. And you have to keep being like pushing. That's why I think it takes so much energy. You know, it's you're having to overcome your natural homeostasis.
Yeah. Your emotions are like, no, 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 no. And like throw fear equations at you. And then you feel the fear.
That's right.
Yeah.
I mean, take the most concrete example in our world, which is learning to squat on day one. That is a scary undertaking for many people.
Yeah. And I've worked with, now that you say that, a lot of people who I've put bumper 10-pound plates on a 15-pound bar. So what is that, 35 pounds? And people, just by how it looks and by the idea of it, they decide that it's too heavy.
Right.
Because like, I think the way the plates look, bumper plates in their head, same size equals a 45-pound plate.
Mm-hmm.
And it's too scary. And then they have to overcome, and like you said, same with squatting, they have to overcome that fear and just kind of do it. Do the first rep, do the first set, and then go back for more.
And I've had the same thing with somebody just doing a body weight squat on day one. They're worried their knees are going to explode. They've never been into that position.
They're going to fall
and
over.
It's scary getting into that.
Yeah.
On the other end of the spectrum, I think everybody that's lifted for a long period of time has those certain plate numbers or plate combinations that you're just associate with being,
like,
kind of mentally scary. So you're pushing into that edge of discomfort. But where we started was it's worth it.
Yeah.
So I'm curious from your perspective, how you approach those, because I know you've encountered many of those, whether it was your first time lifting heavy or
jiu-jitsu,
the first time going for 405 deadlift or a 300-pound squat, like those moments that I still get a special thrill out of starting a set that you don't know whether you're going to be able to do it or not. Do you have any pro tips on how to entice yourself to push into those hard growth opportunities?
Well, one thing I like to think about is how I could feel on the other side of it, what accomplishment feels like, and being able to know and say that I did that. That is a feeling that I am drawn to, feeling of accomplishment. And there's no way you can do it unless you try to do it. But I, also have fears of, what if I get hurt when I do that? What if I don't do it? Then I'm a huge failure. And then I should never even be a coach or touch a barbell again. And those fears as well. And so there's definitely an internal battle that goes on with stuff like that. But I found that I do get to choose which one I want to listen to. And depending on the circumstances of maybe the day and the week and, how it's been going with my coach, one voice is much louder than the other. And be like, you know what, today I want to accomplish that. And it's no matter what, it's worth giving it a shot because I could do it. And that's more fun. What about you?
I've found lately the one that consistently gets me going is to visualize or imagine the person that I'm striving to be or that I would respect or aim to be, and ask myself what that version of me would do or what that person would do.
I remember I've done that before on lifts where I'm just like, you know what, today I'm going to act like someone who squats like 300 pounds.
Right.
You know what that person has to do? They have to squat 300 pounds.
Right.
Yeah.
Or they have to train when you don't want to train.
Yeah.
You don't feel like it, but the person that you want to be is somebody who keeps training, or person who does the thing when nobody's looking. I post a lot of stuff on Instagram. Actually, this is kind of a bit of a non sequitur.
Thank you for the warning, everybody.
Got to have the warning. But I did notice the other day, I was not stoked about lifting. My back was pretty cranky. It was in the middle of Thanksgiving kind of time. And I turned the camera on and had this little extra oomph of accountability. Like, might have to post this one later. I better, coach is going to see this one. Or
time to pretend I like what I'm doing.
So I squoze the bar harder and set my back a little bit harder, and the bar, it just flew. I was like, oh, okay.
You had such accountability by doing that.
Yeah. So pro tip to anybody out there, turn your camera on, record your lifts, even if you're not going to share them, but
it really does help.
Do it. Have a coach or put it on social media or something, but
because
there
you
is something
see
magical.
Yourself acting like a badass. You don't want to see yourself like wussing out. Right. That's not the video that you want to watch of yourself or know that that's how you exist in the world. So you kind of give yourself a method of being like, you know what? Time to look like a badass.
This might have been a bad move. I don't know. But I had this college kid client a few years ago, and he was going for a press PR. It was like a 5RM or something like that. And he only got 4 reps. And leading up to the lift, no shirt on, he's in the gym, just pretty early still in his lifting, but he was like hyping himself up. He was like super gung-ho to get this 5RM, but he only got 3 reps. And he got done and he made the most depressing, sad face, like look into the camera. And I screenshot it and sent it back to him. Just like, don't worry about missing the reps. We're going to fix that. But we need to work on this right here. Like, no sad, mopey face after missing the reps. But yeah, you want to look like you're kicking ass. And even if you fail, grind your face off a little bit and still look like a badass.
Yeah.
I don't know how I got on that subject other than, recording the lift. I think what the camera did for me is provide a little bit of, third person shooter, if you will, like where it wasn't just me in my head holding myself accountable to be the person that I aspire to be. It was, this is going to go to somebody else who's going to see who I actually am. So it just gives me a little extra sense of accountability to actually perform as the person that I say that I want to be so that I can show my coach.
I like what you're doing because you're breaking it down into actions. You're turning it into behavior. So you're taking it out of your head.
Yes. Oh, man. That's such a great point because I've wasted so much time in my head. And I think that's a lot of the pain that comes from being stagnant. Is you're just ruminating.
You don't take action. You're just exhausted by your own thoughts.
Yeah, you're just spinning on your thoughts and you're thinking about your emotions and you're reacting to your thoughts to create more emotions that you then think about and with no action.
Yeah. I remember when I worked at Lululemon ages ago and they used to have all the text on their shopping bags. There was one really loud one and one phrase that was said often, which is just, do it now. Do it now. That comes into my head so frequently where it's just, if it's something that I'm just spinning on or procrastinating, getting it done, where it's just like, what if I just do it now? And then all of a sudden you've done it.
Mm-hmm. That's another great example. Like with my coaching work, there's sometimes where you're looking at the list and it's just, feels like this impossible barrier.
Yeah.
But if I can just start, if I can just do the first workout, then I can do the second, and next thing you know, you're just kind of in the flow. And
it totally comes up for me when I have push-ups programmed in my workouts because I hate them. And a set of push-ups doesn't take long, but I will walk around and dilly-dally on Spotify and I'll be like, maybe I should check my Amazon order and see when it's coming instead of just like knocking out a set of push-ups. It's so silly. So that's when the do it now voice totally comes into my head.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, just do it. Everybody, do your accessories. Do them. Do them now.
Do your accessories for sure.
Yes.
And if you're having trouble holding yourself accountable, what might one do, Nikki?
They should become a client of yours, and then they will know that you are watching.
I can take screenshots of their sad face with their shirt off.
Yes. Honestly, our team of coaches is so freaking good.
It is true.
Like, I will sometimes go through their feedback, and when I have other coaches cover my clients for me, I'm just like, dang, this coach is better than me.
I always get a little bit nervous when I get coverage.
Me too. Yeah. They're going to find out how much better these other coaches are. Also, just kidding to all my clients who are listening.
Maybe they'll find out how awesome I really am. But most of the time they're like, hey, can I get so-and-so to cover me again?
Yeah. Which is so good. It's like such a good thing. But all that to say, like to what you were saying, if you need someone providing you with the actions, taking you out of your head, giving you some accountability, and giving you the roadmap so that you can take action. We have such a stellar team of coaches, lots of different abilities, lots of different skill sets. But the one thing that's in common is like they probably know more than you do, which is really helpful when you're not sure what to do next.
Absolutely.
And if you're wondering who that might be, what it looks like, set up an experience call. It's barbelllogic.com/experience, or you can even ask us on Instagram. We're happy to help. That's what we live for.
I think that's a great way to, I mean, it sounds cheesy, it sounds salesy. It is.
It is.
Okay, whatever. But it's true. The coach short circuits the stagnant to the action.
Yeah.
Because now you have clear direction. It de-risks the outcome because you've got somebody that you can trust who's gotten many people to the outcome that you're trying to get, which is to be stronger, to be more fit, to help you improve the quality of your life. So you've de-risked that. You know that the energy now that you know has to go in. And I think this is a common problem with fitness. You can put a ton of energy into a complete waste of time in the sense that it will not help you accomplish your goals unless you just like being in pain and sweaty and breathing hard. You know, there's many different things you can do out there, but that might not necessarily actually improve your fitness much. And in fact, some cases it might be not good for your fitness.
Right.
So you now have a trusted advisor who can take your goals, translate that into clear action that you know is going to be a high probability of helping you achieve your outcomes. It removes the thought loops and the rumination and the stagnant thinking of wondering whether you're doing the right thing or not. You can now just do and outsource all of that thinking to somebody else and focus on showing up and executing. And even while you're executing, now you got the camera on and the person on the other end of the phone who's watching you, holding you accountable, helping you hold yourself to the standard that you want to be. It's just...
Right. Be more than you are right now.
That's right.
That's what they really helped you do.
It's just hard to do by yourself. You know, some people are hardwired to go do that. Most aren't. And I would consider myself hardwired to do that. And I still love having a coach. I still love just being able to say, like, give me the structure, give me the plan, I'll go execute.
Mm-hmm.
And turning the camera on, I still get that little oomph. All these years later, I think it makes a difference between, honestly, on that workout, on that heavy deadlift, I think it made the difference between me doing the workout or not. Like, as I was warming up, I was like, I don't think I'm going to do this. Like, really?
Wow.
I don't think so. And then turn the camera on. And what I convinced myself to do was, I'll just try the next set. I'll just do a little bit more. I'll see where it ends up. So I kind of came into it with an open mind, but it was that first work set where I was like, I'll probably just do a single here. Turn the camera on. It was supposed to be 3 doubles. And I did the first single. And I was like, oh, that was actually pretty dang good. I'll just do another one. Did that. And then it clicked. I was like, oh, I can do this. And then I finished the workout and then did 3x5 at 365. So
yeah,
it was the difference between not doing the workout entirely and doing the entire workout was really in the moment. It was turning the camera on.
That's cool.
Kind of weird to say, but it's true.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Well, I guess that's it for today. Time for lunch.
You better go eat.
Time to do it now.
Yeah, do it now.
Thanks everyone so much for listening. We'll be here with you next week on Beast Over Burden.
Bye-bye.